Here are some of the ways that you know that it's time to move from entrepreneur to visionary. Okay, welcome to another episode. And in the last episode, I talked about the 4 levels of being an entrepreneur. And I'll review those real quickly with you. They were worker or technician. They were operations or management. And then you moved into an entrepreneur. But where all the magic is the level of being a visionary. Now, the challenge that takes place is so much happens in an entrepreneur's mind and their body and their soul, literally, when they want to go from level 3 to level 4. Mostly because they've never heard that level 4 is where the magic is and where the real rewards are of being an entrepreneur. So I want to talk to you about what it takes to go from level 3 to level 4. What are the stumbling blocks? Why don't more entrepreneurs do this? And what are the solutions? So in order to do that, I'm going to pause for just a second. I'm going to erase the board and I'm going to write down the next set of principles that we'll discuss. Okay, why don't more entrepreneurs go from the entrepreneur level to the visionary level? Well, first of all, I believe they don't know that that level is available to them. But this could be your case. This could be the case with you. I'm going to tell you that this was the case with me. I was bopping along in business for many, many years, doing well, building a business, being an entrepreneur, overseeing the growth of my companies and the expansion into marketplaces and those sorts of things. But there just seemed to be a bit of a gap in my heart, a bit of a gap in my soul. There was something missing until I figured it out. And so I'm going to share that with you. But here's how you know that here are some of the ways that you know that it's time to move from entrepreneur to visionary. If you are experiencing any of the following, it's time. If you are experiencing burnout of any sort, in other words, you're pretty much saturated with the business of being an entrepreneur, your industry, people that work for you, the constant manipulation of money and finances and marketing and sales and project management and all of the things that, regulations, ordinances, zoning, all of the things that as entrepreneurs we tend to deal with to continue to make our business grow and expand. If you're experiencing any kind of burnout from any of those things, from any of those things, then maybe that's a sign that you're ready to go to the next level of being a visionary. So burnout, all right? An imbalance of any sort in your body, your mind, your soul. And I keep referring to your body, mind, and your soul. What I find interesting is that many times, entrepreneur doesn't even really know that there's this imbalance going on. They just know that when business is good, my health sucks. When my health is good, business is got challenges with it. And they always seem to be on this teeter-totter and out of balance. They don't feel well, high blood pressure, muscles are sore, can't sleep at night, and yet they are caught in the vortex, in the whirlwind of being an entrepreneur and being in business. So if you feel any kind of imbalance with your body, your mind, your time, where you spend your time, if you feel any kind of imbalance, maybe that's a sign that it's time for you to go from entrepreneur to being a visionary. The next one, relationships. If your relationships are strained, especially your primary relationships, your spouse, your significant other, your children, your grandchildren, the people that are extremely close to you in your business and in your life, your best friends. I mean, I heard a story yesterday of a man who's been in business many years, probably almost as long as I have, and he had a best friend. And all of a sudden his best friend just went dark. And this guy that went dark had a thriving business. I happen to know the man. He had a thriving business, and all of a sudden he ghosted, right? So I don't know what's going on with him, but my guess is that he's experiencing burnout. He's experiencing imbalance, and as a result, his relationships are suffering with his friend, and I happen to know with his spouse and others. So if you're experiencing challenges with your relationships, that is a sign that you're ready to go to the next level. So relationships. There is a fourth indicator that I didn't put up here because I wanted the element of surprise, but this fourth indicator may take a moment for you to really absorb and think about and see if it resonates with you. And that is the indicator of trust issues. Trust issues. Now, take a moment and just see if that sits with you, if that resonates you. You don't have to call me, you don't have to tell me, you don't have to confess this to anyone else. Confess this to yourself if you want. But when an individual has deep-seated trust issues about the people that surround them in their business, about the marketplace, about customers, about just anything in general, when they have those deep-seated trust issues, that is an indicator of the above. They're burned out, they're imbalanced, their relationships are sucking because the level of entrepreneur has been saturated. The level of being an entrepreneur is filled up. And so as a result, when you first got into business and being an entrepreneur, it's not that you had mistrust, but you did have a great deal of trust in people. In other words, that's how your business grew because you trusted employees, you trusted the marketplace, you trusted yourself, you trusted your marketing, you trusted your customers. There was a lot more trust. Now, what's interesting is this mistrust was probably residing in the back somewhere, and when you got to a certain level in your business, now all of a sudden it surfaced, it mushrooms. And so take a real hard look at trust and how you feel about trust, your issues of trust. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust others? Do you trust yourself to move beyond being an entrepreneur into the next level? Trust, 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 trust. Now, in a moment, I'm going to talk to you about the solutions. Let me erase this board. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, in order to get to the solutions, we have to understand that you would already be at the solutions if there weren't things that were blocking you. We all have blocks. We all have what's called blind spots. And these are the things that prevent us from growing, expanding, moving forward. The things that we are blind to, oftentimes that other people see, oftentimes that are very obvious to others. But in order to grow and to get to that next level of being a really satisfied, fulfilled entrepreneur, you have to understand that in order to get to the solutions, you have to acknowledge what the blocks are. So what are some of the common blocks that are preventing entrepreneurs from going to the next stage as to be a visionary? Here we go. So an entrepreneur might think, well, they don't have the experience that it takes to move to that next level of being a visionary. They don't really have the background. They don't have the experience. They don't have the know-how of what it takes to go to that next level of being a visionary. So oftentimes they'll say, well, I don't know what I don't know, so I'm just not going to do it. Next, perhaps they're missing the ideas. Like, what does it really mean to be a visionary? Like I don't want to copy anybody. I don't want to, I don't want to not have these things be my own idea. But what does it really take? And so they think, well, I don't have the right ideas. I don't know how to implement the ideas. Even if I did have ideas, the next phase, who would I get to help me? What resources do I have? So sometimes a person will think, well, I don't really have the resources to move to my vision. That could mean personnel. That could mean associates. That certainly could mean money. That could mean assets of one form, in one form or the other. So what's blocking a person is often they think they have a lack of experience. They think they lack valid ideas to make a difference. And they may think that they lack the resources to get their ideas manifested, accomplished. And then there's the fourth thing, the fourth block, that is actually bigger than all the other blocks. Made a note to myself right there for you. And that is now, you remember a few minutes ago I said take a really deep look to see if you have trust issues. And that's a private exercise you can do. I want you to do the same thing with this. Take a really, really deep look to see if you have challenges with worthiness. What do I mean? That means feeling like you deserve to be the visionary, right? So, do you deserve, do you feel worthy, do you feel capable? Is it in your birthright? Is it within your right as a human being to move from an entrepreneur to a visionary to make an impact in the industry that you work in? So oftentimes this is the biggest work that I do with entrepreneurs. Now what's weird is, and it's not really weird, what I find to be the case is that as an entrepreneur, you have a great deal of confidence, you have a great deal of experience, you have a great deal of chutzpah, you have determination and drive, and so worthiness is usually not something that an entrepreneur considers. It's like, look at all this stuff that I've done, how could I not feel worthy of myself or worthy of going to the next level? And so I'm going to ask you just to consider seriously this matter of worthiness and being worthy. I find that in my work with entrepreneurs, especially high productivity, successful entrepreneurs, that when we address the next level of worthiness, well then their business, their vision goes straight up. And this takes work. I'm going to tell you right now, this takes work. It takes a plan. It takes accountability. It takes strategy. It takes work. So if any of this resonates with you and you want to move from the entrepreneur to the visionary, then know that you're going to spend a lot of time right there if you're serious about it. Because once you get to this, guess what? That happens, and more. So now I'm going to talk to you about a few specific solutions based on removing these blocks. Let me clear the board. I'll be right back with you. Okay, we talked about the problems, the blocks, and now we're going to move to the solutions. Once you get through the blocks, what do you do? Once you address the problems and get through the blocks, what do? You have to replace the blocks with empowering new beliefs and actions. And so in order to reach solutions, there's some steps that we go through. Number one, you must create the vision, some kind of vision. And by the way, that vision doesn't have to be right forever. That vision can be right for you right now, and it can be right for you over the next 12 to 18 months, 24 months, and then the vision can change. But you've got to create some sort of vision that's bigger than their business and bigger than you are. So create a vision. Next, that vision the vision that you create needs to include a way to improve the world. And by that I mean the globe, the planet, humanity. Now we start with your industry, and then as your thinking expands, as the barriers come down, as the blocks are removed, then your industry now moves into your thoughts about expanding your your industry now move into thoughts of improving the world as a whole. And all of that, in terms of a solution, means that you've got to have accountability along with a plan. You must have a plan, and you must have someone on your behalf that is going to hold you accountable, that is going to help you measure, that is going to see the benchmarks that you have set. And so accountability. Now you remember we talked a minute ago about trust, and we talked a minute ago about releasing or tapping into your worthiness. And so what I want to present to you now is an expansion of that, and that is release. Release expectations and release judgments. And there are very specific strategies on how to do this. But in order to move through the process, you've got to get to a point where you have to release any expectations about what's going to happen and any judgments about what does happen or what doesn't happen. In that release comes the freedom that you've been looking for all along as an entrepreneur. And now it converts into the final step, which starts with an L. Legacy. Legacy. And it's at that moment when you tap into your ability to create a legacy that you experience entrepreneurial freedom, because you are now a visionary with a plan and a visionary that wants to create a legacy for your family and for the world. And it's in this right here, it's in this, the legacy, where all the magic is. When you have a vision about how you're going to leave your sphere better, is when you reach fulfillment. The thing that I see so often with very successful, highly productive entrepreneurs is they've been so conditioned, so used to, let's sell, let's make money, let's put profits in the bank, that it's hard to go outside the mentality to think of these things. But it is possible. Some specific steps and strategies, and you can get to the vision to create the legacy. And if you have any of those symptoms that I discussed earlier, this is your answer, creating the legacy. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Comment on it, share it, like it, send it to all your friends, send it to your fellow high productivity friends and business associates. And if you want to talk about it, reach me, paulmontalongo.com/strategy, message me, and we will get a specific plan on how to get you from problems to vision to legacy. That's my guarantee to you.